Good evening, and thank you for joining us once again for Your Real Estate Now. My name is Julie, and I am your host as well as your real estate professional. And tonight we are going to be discussing interest rates in the form of annual percentage rates and annual percentage yield, APR and APY. Now, when I was a notary back in Southern California, before I became a realtor, I would work with escrow officers and I would sign up their clients. They would give me a big, huge packet of loan documents, whether the client was purchasing a home or selling their property. We would go through the process of notarizing, signing, explaining all of the loan documentation. And many times when I was going through that loan paperwork with the clients, we would arrive at the truth in lending page and they would see the APR listed, which is what they had already previously discussed with their lender, and they would also see the APY. And generally, the APR would be slightly lower and the APY would be slightly higher. And when it was compounding the total amount of interest that they would be paying on their loan throughout the life of the loan, sometimes the clients would become slightly startled and they would wonder, well, which am I actually paying and why is the APY higher than the APR? So in order to try to explain the difference between these two, we're going to discuss this question right now. And I have made some lovely signs for us. And let's go ahead and quickly try to answer this question. Now, as I previously stated, APR is the annual percentage rate. All right, now this particular rate of interest does not take into account the compounding of the interest within the year. Okay, the APR presumes only one compounding period per year. However, most loans calculate and add interest once every month, creating not one but 12 compounding periods per year rather than just one. So, as a borrower, when you're searching for the lowest rate, it's important that you understand the difference between the APR and the APY, so that at the end of the day, you understand and know what you're actually paying on your loan. So what are you paying? Well, next we're going to discuss the APY, and then you'll know. So, the APY stands for annual percentage yield. Now, the annual percentage yield does consider the compounding interest that takes place throughout the year. It's also known as the effective interest rate. Now I'm going to give you a brief example, and this is going to help to wrap everything up and give you the best explanation that you could ever need. To calculate the effective interest rate, first find the periodic rate. This is the APR divided by compounding periods. Let's say, for example, we have a 25% interest rate with interest accruing once a month, not once a year. In this particular situation, the periodic rate would be 2.083. Now, add 1 to this amount and take it to the power of the compounding periods within the year. As previously stated, in this case, that number would be 12, and subtract 1. Your APY in this particular situation would then become 28.073%. So, let's say you have a $10,000 loan with a 25% APR. You're assuming that you're going to be paying $2,500 of interest on that $10,000 loan. When you use the effective rate, however, you see that you are actually paying $2,807 worth of interest on that $10,000 loan. So, as you can see, you know, the real reason why I want to do this, I am not an expert in the mortgage lending world, and I don't want to come off as somebody who knows everything. What I am is a realtor, but as a realtor, as your realtor, I want you to be an informed consumer. Information and knowledge is power. And the more knowledge that you have, the more powerful that you can be, and the better choices you can make when selling and purchasing your real estate. So, key to all of this, if you walk away with anything from this 5-minute program, really all I want you to know is that there is a difference between APR and APY. And when you're shopping around for interest rates and you're talking to lenders about what it is that they have to offer you, make sure you not only ask them what the APR is, but also what the APY is. Have them explain it to you in full. That way, if there is a little bit of a discrepancy between the two numbers, you can find out from them, well, how often are you compounding the interest on my loan? And what am I actually going to be paying in interest over the life of the loan, so that you know what you're paying for that money that you're borrowing. All right, well, that sums it up for today. Thank you so much for joining us for our second episode of Your Real Estate Now. As always, I'm Julie, your realtor, and I'm answering your real estate questions now. Join us next time for another wonderful episode where we answer your pressing real estate questions. Good night, everybody.